My name is David Harrison Grice. Welcome to the Grice Report, your unfiltered daily voice for truth. And as always, thank you for trusting us to be your voice. So let's dive right into tonight's show. So something that you may have seen, there are nationwide protests occurring right now that have been for a couple of hours. What you may not have seen, and the mainstream media unfortunately has been burying the lead on a lot of these stories, what you may not have seen was the fact that there was an organized walkout for 2 p.m. scheduled today. People all around the country walked out of their homes, their businesses, their jobs, wherever they were. They walked out and they started to protest. And it wasn't a small event. It was across the entire nation, all 50 states. And there were children from schools that walked out with their school staff protecting them. There were people in Washington, D.C. that flooded the streets at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. There were people that walked out of schools in California, people that walked out of schools in Texas. I got comments from people in Texas that were walking out right as it turned to 2 o'clock. This was a nationwide coordinated event that shows the power of the people. And if the mainstream media isn't reporting that this was a well-organized event, it's because it was organized by a women's group. It was organized by a women's group. And it was called the Free America Walkout. And we all knew about it, and that's why it happened. So make sure that you hold your local stations accountable. Make sure that you hold the mainstream media accountable to tell you the truth about this event. We, the people, we have the power. We have always had the power. There are more of us than there are of them. And ICE will not win the day. And there's so much more to talk about, so please stay tuned. If you like what you're hearing tonight, please remember to like, subscribe, and down here we have an email address, thegricereport@gmail.com. Again, that's thegricereport@gmail.com. Please send us any tips, leads, story requests, any kind of interactions that you've had with the ICE Gestapo, CBP stormtroopers, or any other force that you're coming into contact with. And more importantly, to all of our subscribers, you freaking rock. You are helping the rise of the Vox Populi, the people's voice, and it's never been more important because even though the mainstream media might report a piece of the news, they're not actually giving you the full story. So tune into us, independent media journalists, for the truth. We will be your voice and make sure that you receive the truth. So let's continue. I want to talk about real quick the press conference today with Donald Trump. I'm not going to torment you as my audience with clips of this press conference. Just a couple of points. So Donald Trump believes that our tax dollars should go to paying big, strong guys to pick up garbage in our cities so that bad guys are scared away. No, I'm not kidding. He also had a little bit of a conversation with a binder clip on stage. And he was like, ooh, I'm so glad I didn't get my finger caught in that one. That could have done some real damage. But you know what? I wouldn't have even shown the pain. It's a caricature of a human. But the worst part is that it's a descent into dementia. He had a conversation with his mother on stage about Creedmoor, which is a mental hospital here in Queens, New York, or was. I'm not sure if it's still open at this point in time. I will have to check that, and I'll put it up right here if it's still open or if it's closed. But whatever the case is, he had a conversation with his mother on stage. This guy is not well, and now he's threatening to invade Greenland. And he's not just threatening empty threats. The prime ministers of Greenland and of Denmark are like, you need to start preparing for an invasion. This guy's going to really do it. These are our allies and we're going to invade them? This is twisted. Just know that we, the American people, do not stand with these mother freakers. We are going to make sure that they are out of office as soon as possible and held to account. And now... So the other day, I showed you a video that tore at my heart of a woman with disabilities, brain injury, and other disabilities being torn from her vehicle and dragged into an ICE Gestapo car after being hogtied. It's going to hurt even more when you hear the truth about what happened. Her name is Aaliyah Rahman. She is just a person. She's not affiliated with any groups. She's not a protester. She wasn't there to protest. She had a damn doctor's appointment. And she wound up in the hospital because of all of this. Let's listen to her talk about this in her own words.
I think even someone who doesn't have the kind of auditory processing challenges I do would not know what to do with the sentence, move, I will break your effing window. And then back and forth between move, get out, trying to open my door, more threats of breaking a window, which I don't understand the functional purpose of, and it's not a warning, it's a threat of violence.
Were you there to protest ICE? Had you ever protested ICE before in that arena?
No.
So when you went that day and you were detained, as you said, what was that like for you once you were? What happened after they took you?
I experienced a very specific set of dehumanization practices during the 6 stages of detention and processing that I counted before I went unconscious and was taken out in an ambulance. You know, when I asked for disability accommodations, and I said, did anybody bring my cane with me from the car? I need that to walk, not stand, but walk, because my balance is bad. They said, there's no canes here. They stood me up in leg irons and said, walk, push my back. Walk, you can do it. Nobody said, maybe we should find something else. There was no medical screening. I was never once asked for my ID, even told I was under arrest, never charged.
This is why we say that the ICE Gestapo must be abolished. At this point, the organization is not redeemable. There is nothing you can do to reform them. They must be immediately abolished. If you want to tackle immigration, you're going to have to do it differently. This system has allowed for this to happen. And the problem is that if we don't revise the system at its very core after abolishing ICE to make sure this never happens again, meaning revisit the Constitution and figure out a way to protect ourselves from this ever happening again, if we don't do that, we'll have failed all future American generations. That's on us to do this. And that's why we must get out and vote. They are going to try to keep us home. They are going to try to prevent us from voting. They are going to try to screw with the polls. They are going to try to make it more difficult. But we have to rise to this moment. We have to rise to this occasion. We have to show them we mean business. Because we can do it. After what I saw today with the Free America Walkout, we can do anything. And just a preview of what's coming. Do you remember that story that I did about a woman in Michigan? Her name was Jessica Plichta. She was arrested on camera by the police specifically for protesting. And they call it disobeying a lawful order. I have some new information. She was released, but there are other people coming out of the woodwork that I've had the chance to speak to who actually have had the same issue in the same town. So please look forward to that. We are going to be publishing a story probably within the next couple of days once we gather all the relevant information. And to the sources, thank you so much for providing us with that information. We will not let you down in the way that we tell that story. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the resistance. My name is David Harrison Grace. Have a great night.